Hey everyone, this is Dr. Perkis, and I'm going to present my take on why Strvrogin wrote his confession. So after reading all of your journals, I basically broke it down to four theories that were talked about. The first one is that he is seeking forgiveness and redemption for the horrible crimes that he has committed. Second theory is that he wants to exorcise his demons, especially the demon of the little girl who keeps visiting him. Third idea is that he is a sociopath and enjoys the negative attention. And the last one is actually a theory that would be none of the above. There's something else going on with him. So let's explore these theories one at a time. The first theory is that he's seeking forgiveness for what he has done. It makes a certain amount of sense. He goes to a monk, he calls it a confession, and he lays out in minute detail exactly the crimes he's committed. The problem with this theory, though, is that there's no evidence in the story that he's actually sorry for what he's done, or that he's seeking to be forgiven, or make restitution for any of the harm, pain, suffering that he's caused. So it's hard to find much truck in the seeking forgiveness theory. Next, actually that jumped ahead. Okay, next, he wants to exorcise his demons. Well, we have the same problem with this as we did with the last theory. To exorcise demons, there has to be a sense of contrition. He doesn't seem sorry. He refuses to accept what seems to be a pretty decent offer to spend 5 to 7 years as a recluse, studying with one monk far away from society to seek inner peace and reconciliation. And he also does not turn himself over to the authorities in any way. So there's no outward gesture that would warrant any sort of exorcism of his demons. There isn't, as additional problem, the religiosity that would need to be there if this is truly a discussion of demons. In fact, they have the opposite discussion, and that is about the possibility of there being the devil without there being God. And I think that exploration is pretty interesting in regard to how Strvrogin presents himself as someone who does sort of walk with the devil and fears not God. So, the third theory is that he's a sociopath and enjoys the negative attention. Well, by all means, he enjoys causing pain in others. He does not feel remorse. He seeks out danger and attention. He relishes power and causing humiliation in others. Many of you talked about the scene of him stealing the money from the civil servant, as well as the god-awful scene of his allowing the girl to be beaten when he, in fact, had found his penknife. And he also demonstrates excessive pride and sensitivity throughout this interrogation he has with Tikhon. So, there is a sense that he does go into excruciating detail, not only about what he did, but what he felt, as he was going through it, and and that he did nothing to stop the suffering around him. And so, painting himself in a rather despicable light is clearly part of what's happening in this confession. And so I'm willing to say that, yes, that theory works, but there's another idea. And that is what I call the Superman theory. So what do we know about Strvrogin? Well, we know that he thinks he's above average in every way. By his own admission, he is wealthy, he is brave, he is handsome, he is well-connected, and there's an important quote that no one used in their journal that I think helps substantiate this Superman theory. It is I alone who am informing against myself, for I have no accuser. Besides, there is no evidence against me, or what there is extremely slight. I want everyone to look at me. If summoned, I will appear anywhere. So what he's basically doing is saying that he and he alone, under no compunction of anyone else, is coming forward with this confession that he has in fact committed the perfect crime. But the problem with that is that committing the perfect crime only counts if people know a crime has been committed and can't punish the guilty. So what better glory is there than confessing a perfect crime and still being out of the reach of the authorities? An important caveat to this is that Dostoevsky wrote this novel. Well, the excerpt that we read comes from The Possessed or the Demons or the Devils. It has 3 different translations. but he published it in 1872. Nietzsche, who we know from our earlier reading, published a book called Thus Spake Zarathustra, and in there's the notion of the Übermensch, which is the overman. And this theory is that within society, there are certain individuals who are beyond the reach of society in general. So if you think of the master morality on steroids, if you will, that there's this view that some few selected, Napoleon, for example, other Caesar, every millennium might have one, who are beyond the reach of normal humanity. And so they are entitled to, in fact, compelled to do great things. Now, by great, I don't necessarily mean good. What I would mean would be awe-inspiring things. And I see in this selection that we read, manifested in Dostoevsky's character Strvrogin, real indication of this monomaniacal, ego-driven, sneering at God, walking with the devil, deeply conflicted character who not only craves negative attention, but needs to be seen as the quintessential or the ultimate villain. Needs to be seen as beyond the reach of the authorities, not just outside of, but beyond, ontologically at a different place than they are capable of finding him.